Hello everybody, this is Earl. What I'm going to talk to y'all about right now is carburetor, Harley Davidson carburetor, adjustments. I'm going to speak of two that I'm familiar with, which are the best, by the way. The CV carburetor, constant velocity, and the Mikuni HSR 42, and then the 45 and 48 millimeter, okay, carburetor. Okay, now something I want to get straight, as far as my descriptions. Guys that think they're professionals that work on CV carburetors only. Every time I talk about air mixture, they assume I'm talking about the fuel mixture. No, I'm not. People, learn the difference in air screw adjustments and fuel mixture adjustments. Throughout this video, I don't want to have to keep reminding the audience. When I say air screw, I'm talking about air screw. When I talk about fuel mixture, I'm talking about fuel mixture screw, okay? Alright, now, and this is also about jet sizes, main jet and pilot jets, okay? Now, okay, on Harley carburetors, whether you're running a shovel head, a big twin or Sportster, or you're running a Evo big twin or an Evo Sportster, or the twin cam later on, which the Sportster still stayed the Evo upper cylinder head and rocker box design, okay? Okay, and you can use CV or Mikuni carburetors. Personally, on my Harleys, I use Mikunis, and I like the HSR 42s, is what I like, because I'm not into drag racing. I don't race to make it for my livelihood. I'm a rider, a local rider. But I am the best mechanic, and I'm also an engineer and a master machinist, okay? Because I retired with Hydrill Company, that designs subsea platforms and blowout preventers and rebuilds same equipment, okay? And, okay, enough of that. Enough of me talking about my credentials and my abilities or whatever. Alright, now, let's say you have a motorcycle and you're thinking about putting a bigger jet in it. Now I'm talking about Harleys, okay? Harleys, from Sportster up to the big twin, up to until fuel injected started, I think after 2003. Alright. Or it may have been later than that. Alright, if you're running a CV and you want a bigger jet, go ahead and put a bigger pilot jet and a main jet in it. Let me explain why. Because from the factory, these carburetors are governed, the settings or the type jets by the Environmental Protection Association, EPA. Most of them are going to come with anywhere from a 38 to a 42 size pilot jet. Sportsters are going to come with like a 25 pilot jet, many of them. Alright, do this. On any Harley you have, go ahead and put in the 180 main jet and a 45 pilot jet. You'll never need bigger, okay? And you don't need them actually to be any smaller, because here's why. Alright. Let's start with the CV carburetor. Okay, now take note, the Mikuni does not have a fuel mixture screw, but the CV does. But both the CV and Mikuni have air screw adjustments. And I'll show you the air screw adjustment on an HSR 42 Mikuni. Okay, the fuel inlet is right here. Okay. See, and there's a little screw. Where you at, baby? Where you at? See, this little screw is where my finger is. If I can find it. Yeah, there it is. Now you can see it. See the brass screw? Right there. Alright, that's the air screw on a Mikuni. On the left side of the carburetor from when the bike is mounted, or the carburetor is mounted to the Harley, okay? Alright, now, so we know that. There's also an air screw on a CV, but let's start with the CV. Alright, let's say you put a 45 pilot jet and a 180 main jet in it. Alright, it can't be too big, and I'll tell you why. Because when that engine's idling, it can only take in based on the intake vacuum coming from the cylinders from the intake stroke. Alright, meaning that if it's running too rich, you would simply turn the fuel mixture screw in. If it's too lean, you would turn the fuel mixture screw out on a CV. Okay, if it's too rich, you turn the fuel mixture screw, or no, wait a minute, if it's too lean, you turn the fuel mixture screw out to where that the carburetor board can suck in more gasoline through the pilot jet. You got it? Turning the fuel mixture screw in makes it leaner to where less fuel can get from the pilot jet in the fuel bowl to the carburetor board. And then if you screw it out, more fuel can get from the pilot jet in the carburetor bowl to the carburetor board. You got it? Richer is out, turned out, counterclockwise. Leaner is turned clockwise to lean the fuel mixture. So if you have a 45 jet in your CV or kehein carburetor, okay, a lot of people might say, that's too big, that's too big. No, it's not. Because if you're running a CV carburetor, all you do, you just turn that screw in, and that 45 jet is only going to be able to pull in from the vacuum of that engine what would be the equivalent to anything under the size of a 45 jet. You see what I mean? So the jet size isn't going to matter anyway. So with any bike, start with those two size jets. Alright, now, your main jet, okay, they say the main jet doesn't matter or work until 2/3 of your throttle. People, I'll tell you something right now, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. Because, like, you take this Mikuni right here, same in the CV in that way, they both have a needle that runs from the top. Alright, when you raise that above idle, like when you rev it, that needle goes up, the vacuum from that engine is going to pull gasoline from that fuel bowl through that main jet into that carburetor bore. So anything above idle, let me tell you something, that main jet is working. The others are full of shit. Now they say pilot jet's for your idle only. Yeah, that's true. Until you rev the bike or you raise it from 800 RPM to 1200 RPM, and then that main jet is going to work. It has to. Think about it. The needle valve goes down into the emulsion tube, and then it goes down to where the main jet is. Okay, you rev that engine just a little bit, the needle raises. How is gasoline not going to be sucked from that main jet into that carburetor board? It is. It's science. It's physics, people. Okay? But again, that's not going to be too big, a 180 main jet or a 45, because here's how you handle that. If the mixture is too rich, it's going into your engine, okay, like on Mikuni and CV. The air screw, people, you turn it out counterclockwise. This adds more air through. It's built into the, I'll show you. See, the front of the carburetor, between the carburetor bore, right here, the outer carburetor bore, OD, and the inner ID of the carburetor bore, you have a hole in. Okay, air is sucked through that hole. That doesn't go in your intake. What that does, it has a port that goes down to that pilot jet. And you know when you take those, unscrew those pilot jets, they have those little bitty needle holes in them. Alright, air passes through those to mix with the gasoline. So when you turn that screw out, your air mixture screw, what happens, that leans your fuel, it leans it. So if it's running too rich, like for example, you'd simply turn that screw out counterclockwise. Alright, now if it's running too lean, okay, on a Mikuni, being that you don't have a fuel screw on a Mikuni, you turn that air screw in clockwise, because when the engine suction from the intake manifold through the carburetor bore, when the suction, it's going to pull out more gasoline than air, making it a richer mixture. But on the CV, what's going to happen, the mixture's too rich, you simply you turn the fuel screw in, which it restricts the amount of fuel that gets to the carburetor bore, the intake. You see, that's how that works. But know the difference in a fuel screw and an air screw. Because you know, there's a lot of guys, I've watched videos here on the internet, and I like to get to know people that they do it themselves or professionals. Well, most think they're professionals. And so many of them, they don't know the proper adjusting of these things. You know, it's like a man I know, he's thin, he's older. I've watched him in his videos rebuild an 80 cubic inch Evo engine, a 1340. He is good. But a customer brought him their 2002 Harley with the twin cam, 88 cubic inch twin cam, that had a CV carburetor on it, and said, "Man, it doesn't have any power. And sometimes when I accelerate, it spits back through the carburetor." Okay, that's from running too late. Well, here's what this man does. And I told him, and he tried to argue with me. So he doesn't want to learn. He didn't want to admit that he screwed up. Because I asked him, I said, "Why didn't you just unscrew the fuel mixture screw a quarter turn and then take it for a test ride? Why?" But he takes the fuel bowl off. The guy already had a 46, size 46 pilot jet. He puts a 48 in it, and I thought, you idiot. You know, because he's going to change a jet in a carburetor, but he's never going to check the fuel mixture or the air mixture. That means that person didn't know anything about carburetors. He just learned how to change jets in carburetors and made money from people doing it, but he didn't know anything about the adjustments. Because if that same guy would have come to me, I'd have been, "Oh, it's too lean, it spits back. Hey, let's turn out your fuel mixture screw a quarter turn." You know, and if it would have been a Mikuni, I'd have been, "Oh, let's turn your air screw in a quarter turn." See, problem would have been fixed. So what I'm saying, nobody needs bigger than a 45 pilot jet. And now let's say you're at different altitudes. Okay, at different altitudes, let me tell you something. The evaporation of gasoline can differ in different climates, temperatures, and altitudes, sea level or whatever. But when you increase in altitude, the air gets thinner. Okay? So you're going to need to open your air screw more for that thinner air. You're going to need to do that to get in more air for the fuel-gasoline ratio. It's a matter of adjustment to where any biker can carry a screwdriver with them. Pull over off the side of the road. Oh, I need to turn my air screw out a quarter turn. Or, oh, you know, I'm in this place. You know, it's backfiring through the exhaust. Oh, I need to turn in the fuel screw a quarter turn. Or I need to turn the fuel screw out another quarter turn because I bought some cheap gasoline. You see, it's simple, people. So you'll never need anything bigger or smaller than a 45 pilot and a 180 main jet. You never will. But learn the difference. On an air screw, when you turn it out, you're allowing more air to go through the pilot jet where the gasoline is sucked in through the carburetor bowl, okay? When you turn it in, less air goes through the pilot jet where the gasoline's going in. Then on the CV, you turn it out counterclockwise. Okay, that's going to let more gasoline go from the pilot jet to the carburetor bore in the intake. You see? It's not complicated if you'll listen. You know, what you need to do is write this stuff down. Fuel mixture. Fuel mixture. Okay. You turn it in to make it leaner. You turn it out to make it richer. Air screw. You turn it in to make it leaner. Or no, you turn it in to make it richer. You turn it out to make it leaner. Now you got it, people? You got it? Think. Learn the absolute difference in an air screw adjustment and a fuel mixture adjustment. Learn the difference, people. Remember, let's go over it again. Fuel mixture screw. Turn it in to make it leaner. Turn it out to make it richer. Air screw. Turn it out to make it leaner. Turn it in to make it richer. Got it now? Got it? And anytime you have black smoke coming out of your exhaust pipes. Okay, there's two ways that can be fixed. On a Mikuni, you only have the air screw. Turn that air screw out some so that you'll add air to the gasoline that comes from the pilot jet in the fuel bowl. Alright? Now, if you're running a CV, turn that fuel mixture screw in a little until the black smoke stops. You got it? It's not complicated. It's easy to do. If you have hesitation when you rev, okay, generally what causes hesitation and spitting back through the carburetor, that is a lean condition. On a Mikuni, you would turn the air screw in, okay, to get rid of the lean condition. Okay, on a CV, you would do the same thing on the air screw, but then, if that didn't correct the problem, the fuel screw, you would turn it out some. You see? That's how that's done. Learn these things and stop taking these carburetors apart when it's not necessary. Okay? Alright, another thing. And I learned this the hard way. And oh, does it matter. Oh, God, does it ever matter. Okay, on Mikuni, like on this carburetor, okay, what we've got here, okay, where are you at, baby? I'm trying to get my directions right. Okay, you have an accelerator pump rod, okay, on this thing. See, it's right here, okay, that goes up and down, and that pushes down into your carburetor and pushes a piston in a small cylinder in that fuel bolt. Okay, in this accelerator rod, it's called, make sure you can pull it up and down just a little, just a little. Be sure, and make sure that these rubber boots that are on these by the bottom where the rod goes in, that these rods are not sticking on those. Turn them some to make sure they're free. Alright? Let me tell you why that's so important. And see, on this one, there's an adjustment for that accelerator rod. It's a small screw on top of the rod. Okay? And you turn it in to give yourself play here. You turn it out to bring it closer. But it needs to be able to move it up and down just a little bit about the thickness of two hairs. Let me tell you why. Because if that is where that is screwed to where there's no play in that, and it's even pushing the accelerator rod down, what this causes is when you start a motorcycle, you got to rev it, and then you release the throttle, but it goes, You know why? Because that rod is pushing on the top of that piston inside that fuel bowl to where it has pressure on it, to where it's pushing fuel through the fuel nozzle and the carburetor board when it doesn't need to. But if you have that little gap in the rod, a little bit of wiggle play, when you decelerate, the engine decelerates, you see? Because the accelerator pump, whether it's diaphragm or it's the top like Mikuni has, where it's a piston and a small cylinder in the fuel bowl, okay, that, if that is depressed any at all, it's going to automatically, when you go to rev it, the idle isn't going to come down fast enough for you. You see? So it's very, very, very important. And remember, based on what size jet you have, you can have too small of a jet. But once you get to a 45 pilot and a 180 main, you will never need a bigger jet than that. Because, you know, I've been messing with this stuff since way back in the late 60s. I listened to all that rock music. Man, I knew guys that had knuckleheads, panheads, shovels back then. Oh my God. You know, and, you know, I've dealt with this stuff when I was like 12, you know, even younger than that, 13, 14. And, you know, the main bikers, you know, that go cross country, coast to coast, different altitudes, all they do on carburation, they carry a screwdriver for fuel mixture screws and air screws. They have found if you have between a 44 and a 46 pilot jet that you're A-okay and you're rocking. So don't listen to the bullshitters. Don't listen to the bullshitters. Because a bigger jet's not going to do you any damn good. Because like per your bore, your diameter bore of your cylinder, a Sportster having a 3-inch, a Evo a 3.5, a twin cam, the early twin cams, 3.800 inches, nearly 4, or 3.800 thousandths, which is almost 4 inches. That engine can only perform based on what compression and what bore it has and what stroke. And you are not going to make it be meaner or badder. You are not going to do that without ruining something or damaging something. Now, yeah, you can get more power out of one, if you have your adjustments right. And if you get rid of that EPA regulated, incredibly small pilot jet that those come with, yeah. But once you get to a 45 pilot jet, you will never need a bigger jet than that. And go ahead and go with it, no matter, even if it's just a Sportster, you know, with a 3.5-inch stroke and a 3-inch piston. Because still, you've got that fuel screw on that you can reduce the amount of fuel that comes from that pilot jet and goes into that engine's intake. You see what I mean? You know, that's easy to do. But anyway, I will have helped people if they fucking listen. Also, on floats. Oh, I almost forgot this. On carburetor floats, watch Shane Connolly's illustration on CV carburetors of how to adjust a float height. It's not done like most people think it is. You don't do it from the, you know, carburetor being upside down. You can, to get a general idea, you know, if a float needle even works. But carburetors, a float is adjusted with a carburetor. Like here's your float bowl right here. Would be with a carburetor at like a 45 degree angle. That's when it shuts off the fuel. So that's where the adjustment is made. And you want them set between 16 and 19 millimeters. I always set them at 18 millimeters on CVs and Mikunis. That's the way I always set them. You know, to where at the very top, you know, starting from the back, the edge, you know, of the carburetor, set those at 18 millimeters. And you'll be alright. You know, just get you a slide rule. Put your fingernail or something, or take a piece of tape and put where the 18 is on an slide rule, and then run that across the top, and bend that little piece of metal that holds your float needle until you get that right at 18 straight across, and it'll be perfect. But the carburetor has to be at a 45 degree angle, with the float bowl up, but at a 45 degree angle, not upside down. Because see, in these float needles, you have a little pin with a spring built into them. And that spring and that little pin compress. See, a lot of people don't know about that. I didn't know about it 3 years ago. But I do now. Well, anyway, I hope this helps everybody, you know. And people, you should watch it. You should watch it. Let's see how long we've been on here. 28 minutes? My goodness. Y'all have had to listen to me that long. It'll do you good if you'll listen. Write some of this down for future reference, okay? You'll be glad you did. Because those of you that want to argue, when it comes to carburetors on Harleys, you're only going to have a harder damn life. If you listen to me, you're going to be, wow, this works. This works. If you listen to me. Okay? Know the difference in an air screw and a fuel screw. Okay. See you later. See you later, peoples.